In 1896, under a blazing sun, the entire African continent held its breath. At Adwa, the Ethiopian army led by Menelik II shattered the ambitions of colonial Italy. This victory, unique on the continent, showed the world that an African people could resist Europe and remain free. But history did not end with Menelik. A generation later, a child of his lineage would carry that torch forward. If Menelik had saved independence by the sword, Haile Selassie would defend African dignity through diplomacy, modernization, and continental unity. Two figures, two eras, one mission. His name, Haile Selassie I, the last emperor of Africa and a prophet of Pan-Africanism. On July 23, 1892, in the village of Ejersa Goro, a child was born, Tafari Makonnen. His father, Ras Makonnen, was a respected general, companion of Menelik II, and hero of the Battle of Adwa. His mother, Yeshimabet, died when he was still young, leaving the boy under the strict education of priests and palace nobles. Raised in the Ethiopian Orthodox faith, Tafari learned Ge'ez, the liturgical language, as well as Amharic and French, the language of diplomacy. He was described as reserved but endowed with rare intelligence. A priest once said, "In his eyes, you could not see the innocence of a child, but the depth of a king." At 13, he was already appointed governor of a small district. In Harar, a cosmopolitan and strategic region, he proved his ability to govern, reorganizing administration, fighting corruption, and earning the respect of the local Muslim population. In 1916, after Emperor Iyasu's death, the nobles of the realm placed Zewditu, Menelik's daughter, on the throne. But true power rested in the hands of the young Ras Tafari, appointed regent for 14 years. He pursued relentless modernization, sending ambassadors to Europe, opening new schools, building infrastructure, creating a more modern army. He gained an international reputation, an elegant African prince who handled diplomacy as masterfully as ancestral tradition. On November 2, 1930, upon the empress's death, Tafari was crowned emperor under the name Haile Selassie I, meaning power of the Trinity. The ceremony was grand. Dignitaries from around the world attended. For many Africans, seeing a black emperor recognized by the West was an immense source of pride. From the very start of his reign, Haile Selassie sought to transform Ethiopia. 1931, he promulgated the nation's first written constitution. 1942, he officially abolished slavery, ending a centuries-old practice. He built dozens of schools, colleges, and high schools, and in 1951 founded the University of Addis Ababa. He sent young Ethiopians abroad to train as doctors, engineers, and lawyers. He modernized infrastructure, roads, hospitals, telecommunications, and railways. He declared, "Education is the key. If we remain in ignorance, we remain slaves." Haile Selassie wanted an Ethiopia that was respected, faithful to its traditions yet open to the world. But in 1935, tragedy struck his reign. Mussolini, leading fascist Italy, dreamed of a colonial empire. Ethiopia became his target. Italian troops invaded from Eritrea and Italian Somalia, equipped with aircraft, tanks, and even chemical weapons. The Ethiopian army, brave but poorly armed, resisted heroically. In May 1936, Addis Ababa fell. Haile Selassie went into exile, but he did not remain silent. At Geneva, before the League of Nations, he delivered a speech that entered history. It is us today, it will be you tomorrow. He warned the world about the dangers of fascism, yet the great powers turned a deaf ear. Still, Haile Selassie became a universal symbol of African resistance. In 1941, thanks to Ethiopian resistance and British support, he returned triumphantly to Addis Ababa. The people welcomed him as a liberator. Freed from Italy, Haile Selassie turned his gaze toward Africa. During the 1950s and 1960s, independence movements swept across the continent. Haile Selassie welcomed the new African heads of state to Addis Ababa. In 1963, he founded the Organization of African Unity, OAU. In his inaugural speech, he declared, "Without unity, Africa will be weak. United, we will be invincible." He supported liberation struggles, sheltered political exiles, and made Ethiopia a sanctuary for African freedom fighters. Addis Ababa became the diplomatic capital of the continent. Haile Selassie affirmed the independence of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church from the Patriarchate of Alexandria. Beyond that, he became a global spiritual figure. In Jamaica and across the Black diaspora, a movement arose, Rastafarianism, named after Rastafari. For its followers, Haile Selassie was the Messiah, the Lion of Judah, which was a big mistake, of course. The emperor himself never encouraged this worship, yet he remained a living icon to millions. Despite his prestige, Haile Selassie faced severe crises. Famine struck Ethiopia, particularly in Wollo, shocking the world. His slowness in addressing social issues drew harsh criticism. In 1960, a military coup failed, exposing the fragility of his rule. By 1974, discontent exploded. The Derg, a Marxist junta, overthrew him. The emperor was placed under house arrest. A year later, in 1975, he died under mysterious circumstances. Archives later revealed he had been assassinated. Haile Selassie left behind an immense legacy. He modernized Ethiopia. He defended African sovereignty. He gave birth to the OAU, today's African Union. He inspired Mandela and Nkrumah and many others. His reign also bore shadows: authoritarianism, delays in reform, humanitarian tragedies. Yet his name remains tied to one enduring idea: the dignity of Africa. Menelik II had proved that an African people could triumph through arms. Haile Selassie proved they could also triumph through words, diplomacy, and unity. His voice in Geneva, his speeches in Addis Ababa, his courage against fascism, and his role in Pan-Africanism make him a hero. Today, Africa has changed, but his message remains: we must unite, or we shall perish. Here, on the Baobab Within, we believe that remembering Haile Selassie is to nourish the conviction that Africa has always had the strength to stand tall.